Hello, my name is Nicholas,
And my name is Millie Anderson.
and we are presenting our presentation regarding machine programming. So, what is machine programming? So, it is the concept of the machine programming is of using low-level programming languages to develop software that automates software development and maintenance. Machine programming languages, such as machine code, is used directly to communicate instructions towards a computer's hardware, which can be usually written in binary code. However, compared to regular programming, machine programming is only limited to what basic hardware is capable of and must be coded with specific scenarios and solutions to complete tasks that are given. With that, machine programming can't be as flexible to produce and will require programmers to interpret and assemble code that is understandable in binary code. This theory of machine programming is to design and implement multiple instructions in software to control a computer's CPU to complete certain tasks. Using programming to focus on key aspects of how computers process information more effectively on hardware compared to outsourced code that runs instructions without assistance from machinery. Now, for the history applications of machine programming, the first ma- the first instance of machine code was first developed in 1883 with the creation of the analytical machine to compute Bernoulli's numbers that was designed by Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage. In 1949, the next invention, being the assembly language, was introduced to simplify and better write code without the complexity of machine coding, such as binary. And in 1952, code was can be compiled to translate into the same machine code. As coding languages started to shape, Pascal was first used in 1970s to become an easier alternative for coding. And then in 1972, the development of the C language was developed to create a new barrier to how programming languages act like human languages, or essentially the first assembly language. And not much later in 1983, the C++ will also increase the functionality of the C language, which will be used most likely around the entire world, being the most universal language of machine programming. And in 1995, Java was then created as a gateway for computers to also work as as handheld devices, with JavaScript being integral towards the web browser development. And from 2000 to 2014, other languages such as C hash, Scala, Swift will then diversify multiple programming languages to anyone so anyone can use them. Uh, the current application of this machine programming is utilized in devices such as microcontrollers and CPUs that don't contain or hold as much information or memory caches to complete tasks, but are then given instructions to either optimize or complete specific tasks that normally other software can't perform on their own.
Evolution of machine learning. Machine learning has been around since 1952. It has changed and grew drastically over the last decade and has made several transitions in the mid-90s. The data-driven approach was introduced in the 1990s, and from 1995 to 2005, there were lots of focus on various things like natural language, search, and information retrieval. Back then, machine learning tools were more straightforward than now. Neural networks, which grew popularity around the 80s, was a subset of machine learning that are computer systems modeled on the human brain and the nervous system. This subset then made a comeback for some time in 2005. Involvement, contribution, and importance. A mathematician in computer science, Alan Turing, had a large influence on machine learning. He proposed something called the Turing test in 1950, which was a test for a machine for a machine's ability to explore human-like intelligence and behavior. The goal of this test was to imitate human conversation. Arthur Samuel, an artificial intelligence and computer science specialist who worked at IBM, was known for creating a program on the IBM 701 computer. The program introduced a form of machine learning called self-play reinforcement learning. The main purpose of this program was to play countless games of checkers against itself. As the program played more games, it accumulated a growing database of positions and the corresponding best waves. Possibilities for the future. Software development with machine programming being shifted towards machine learning, we are seeing computers using algorithms to develop other machine software with previous knowledge learned by artificial intelligence. This will eventually lead where computers are increasing in power and processing power faster than humans could possibly comprehend. Hardware development. The one aspect of computers that being hardware will need to improve alongside software development to keep with industry standards. As hardware components reach a limit, machine programming will need new ways to increase processing power without compromising software stability or eventually halt drastically, hindering software development altogether. The power grid or utility sector has been a new revolution of computers, replacing the infrastructure of how cities are built. Computers will replace normal desk jobs and will simply require computers and algorithms to map out schematics for contractors to build, completely cutting out the long, tedious method of peer-to-peer review.
Okay. So so this is the research paper that we looked up specifically to summarize the research paper is a general summation of how machine learning has become the new normal in machine programming development and how to solve for what possible implementations can be utilized and understand the drawbacks and intrusive behaviors that could create an unhealthy precedent for the future. The author would solve this problem by bringing concepts like supervised and unsupervised learning to narrow or open possibilities for companies or data brokers to learn about your habits and internet patterns. And by the end of this report, the author will expect that the reader will have a better understanding of data algorithms and the ways computers collect information to improve your experience at the expense of your private data. This comes in handy to learn how machine learning has its applications and limitations in the umbrella of machine programming, and why fundamentals of data security has advanced in a way that the normal users find and create new ways to avoid digital footprints. So this is our references. Uh, four references that generally distinct what every single slide is it follows. Here's also a second slide, and that will be the end of our presentation.